How's it going, YouTube, and welcome to the start of a brand new series here on the TCG channel. And as you can see, we are jumping into some Yu-Gi-Oh! Master Duel. Now, this particular series is going to be revolving around playing this particular game in the ranked ladder, but with a little bit of a twist. As you can see, I do have 628 gems. That is enough to buy myself one structure deck of my choosing. Now, the whole point of this particular series is to try and get from rookie all the way up into diamond, but starting with a singular structure deck, and then every time that we win a duel, regardless of where we are in the ranked ladder, we can open up a master pack or a secret pack that corresponds with our deck to then be able to even add some cards to our deck that we think might be beneficial for us. So with regards to the actual structure decks, if we go ahead and head to the shop in Master Duel, we have quite a selection of decks. Not as many as you'd have obviously in the TCG. A lot of those actually are very hard to get hold of now, especially the older ones. But if we scroll down, we already have bought 3 of the structure decks that we have available here on Master Duel. We've bought the Salaman Great structure deck. We've also bought the Magician of Pendulum deck, so obviously the Pendulum deck, and we've also ended up getting the Recontract Universe deck as well. So my thought process right now is, do I take a single copy of one of the decks that we've already purchased and then go ahead and have the 600 gems to be able to buy the packs once we get some wins, or do we go ahead and choose something a little bit different like Origin of the Galaxy, Blue Eyes Max, Hidden Arts of Shadows, Black Wings Pride, etc.? The only one that really calls my name outside of the ones that we've already ended up purchasing is the Blackwing structure deck. The reason I say this is I used to play Blackwings when they first came out in the TCG, and it was one of those decks that I actually thoroughly enjoyed playing. Now, I know the deck's kind of evolved since back in the day when it was in the Edison format and one of the more popular decks to play, but at the same time, if we go to the structure contents, we do get some reasonably good cards in the structure deck. For example, we get Kalut, which will be quite handy starting the game off. We do also get a Gale. We get the new version of Vayu, I like to call it, but Vata. We also get Zephyros. We get Sirocco. We get a single copy of Black Whirlwind, and we get some reasonably good extra deck cards. However, if we go down to, say, the Salaman Great structure deck, we have a decent core structure deck in the Salad structure deck as well. So that's also a possibility to go ahead and run, and it's probably the best structure deck you can get in the game, in my personal opinion. We also have, obviously, Magician of Pendulum. Now, Pendulums is something that I have never really explored too much whilst playing the TCG. It's just a strategy that hasn't really called to me, and it hasn't really been something that I've been interested in playing in the Yu-Gi-Oh! TCG. There are a bunch of people I know that really love this type of deck and the way that they kind of interact with each other, but for me personally, I just don't see myself using Master of Pendulum. And then the last one that we had was the Recontract Universe, which is revolving around Utopia. I'm not even going to bore you guys with that one. I know there's some people that really love Utopia, can make it really work. I'm just not one of those people. But if I look at the other decks that we have available, we do have Cybernetic Successor, which I've already bought twice. So I think I was going to be playing, when I was starting Master Duel when it first came out, I wanted to play a Cyber Dragon deck, and I ended up getting 2 of the structures in Cybernetic Successor. Again, this is a deck that also calls to me and is a potential starting point for this particular series, but I just need to nail down one of the decks that I really, really want to play, and I think right now that deck is actually going to be the Cybernetic Successor. I feel that I've had enough experience playing Cyber Dragons when the newest structure deck in the TCG came out for this deck, and I feel like it's just one of those decks that I enjoyed playing back in the day when that came out. So I think that's going to be our starting point for this series. So if I go ahead and hit deck, as you can see, I've got a solo deck and I've got 10 new Sword Soul. This Sword Soul deck is nowhere near completed. This solo deck is just to try and get through the solo areas of the game to obviously get free gems. And one thing I will say is this technically isn't my main account on Master Duel. I have, I think, 2 or 3 and there is one particular one that I have been playing quite a bit off of camera, just kind of get back into the game, because I am returning to the game, if you guys haven't really gathered that from the past videos. But that is where we're at. Obviously we also have the Sword of Souls structure deck, so we could technically play Sword Soul, but I don't think we're going to go with that. As I said, we're going to go ahead and hit the Cybernetic Successor structure deck as our starting point. So if we go ahead and copy this deck, we should now be able to just load in with the Cybernetic Successor. So without further ado, let's jump into a few games here on the ranked ladder, see if we can get a couple of wins under our belt, and see if we can start opening some packs up to add to this deck. Now right now we don't have the availability of opening a pack that is corresponding with that deck, because if I go into the shop and go into packs, we don't actually have... Oh, okay, never mind. We do actually have a Cyber Dragon deck. I completely forgot we had these free pulls. I'm not going to actually use these free pulls until after we've played our games for this particular video. We may end up obviously using our free pull on the Cyber Dragon one if we get a win fairly quickly. But I completely forgot that we had access to a free pack here. But regardless, let's jump into the rank ladder, let's get ourselves into a game, and let's see if we can get some packs under our belt to add to our Cyber Dragon structure deck. Alrighty, so we have our first opponent for this series, and one thing I will say is a lot of my plays are going to be probably very rusty, might not even be optimal for the situation that we're in, but I'm going to try my best to play as efficiently as possible. The whole point of this series, much like the Budget Pro series that will be coming very, very soon, is to just try and get back into playing the Yu-Gi-Oh! Trading card game as much as possible. So we are going up against someone that seems to have a full deck, which is fine. I don't really know where we want to go with regards to our starting point here. Obviously, Via becomes Cyber Dragon. If you normal summon or special summon Cyber Dragon, etc. in the damage step, special summon this card from your hand in defense position. So I don't think right now we have a great first opening hand. I'm going to go ahead and just set the Power Wall. And I'm also going to set the Via, I think. And I'm just going to pass my turn now. We didn't really have the greatest of hands to start this game out with. But we'll see what our opponent is cooking with. Obviously, we are in Rookie, and it is fairly close to the start of the new season. So we might end up seeing a few decks that we wouldn't normally see in Rookie. But what I'm trying to hope for is to find some other people that are playing the structure decks or starter decks. And at the same time, I'm also hoping to potentially run into some bots that may end up giving us a couple of easy wins to add some cards to our deck. So Diviner isn't the card I was hoping to see here. And one thing I will say is if we think that we're going to have no chance at beating the deck in front of us, we'll go ahead and just surrender to get things out the way and sorted. But against Gen Raider, I'm just going to see what they do for their first turn here. If they make something that we can't really do anything against, then it's probably best for us just to go ahead and surrender. But we'll see what they end up doing first and foremost. Right now, their turn's not too bad at present. Okay, so I think it might be a time to surrender here, because we're not going to get through Gen Raiders. I don't think it's going to be a good matchup for us. So we'll just go ahead and we'll just surrender right there. It's not going to be a deck that we're going to be able to do too much against, unfortunately. But nevertheless, we'll jump into another duel and see what we can get cooking here. Okay, so we have found our second opponent, and judging by the Rescue Rabbit and the normal deck box, we might have someone that is using a starter/structure deck as well. If they are, this should be a little bit more of a competitive game for us. It looks like they've only got 5 cards in the extra. And they only have 5 cards in the extra. That's always nice to see. We have Power Bond in the opening hand. So, what can we do here? We obviously have Chimera, we have Cyber Phoenix, and we have Cyber Pharaoh. So I don't actually know what this does. You can special summon this card by triggering a machine monster. Once per turn during your main phase, you can fusion summon a machine fusion monster from your extra using monster from your hand and or field as material. Okay. What do we even have? So we do have Twin, but that's... Twin needs what? Yeah, 2 Cyber Dragons, so we don't have anything there. I think we're going to go with a normal summon of Cyber Phoenix. And I'm also going to fire off the field spell here. I'm going to leave Cyber Pharaoh in our hand for now, and I'm just going to pass turn. Not the strongest of opening plays, but it's something that we can get going. Obviously, we can discard 1 Spell or Trap to add a Power Bond, but unfortunately we drew the Power Bond, so that's not great for us. When you fusion summon this turn, you can also banish some monsters from your graveyard as material, so that's interesting as well. Card sends to graveyard, send a Cyber Dark monster from your deck to a graveyard with a different name from the cards in your graveyard. Okay, so Chimera's going to be quite interesting for us. They do have Tune Warrior coming out, so this is the very basic starter deck I believe we're up against here. So, what's it? Okay, so we can't do that, but we do end up getting a draw off of Cyber Phoenix here. We could have potentially set the Cyber Phoenix, but if we get it obviously destroyed, which it will more than likely be the case with Tune Warrior, especially with the Sorcerer's Spell Wall coming down. So we're going to get a draw off of Cyber Phoenix anyway. So we'll see what we get off of this draw here. A Cyber Dragon would be lovely to see. Cyber Valley is not quite what we're looking for, but it's not too bad either. Target 1 face-up monster you control on this card. Banish both targets and draw 2. So it's another draw engine, which it has potential for us. Main 2 for our opponent here. Are they going to set anything else, or are they just going to pass turn? So they've normaled the Tune Warrior, which is quite difficult for us to get over, but we do have Chimera in hand that we can set. So let's go ahead and draw. Oh, Cyber Emergency is always a nice card to see. So we are going to fire Cyber Emergency, I think. Question is, what do we want to grab from it? We could go with a core. I'm going to go with a core here, I think. And then we'll summon the core. We are going to go for... Do you want a Cyberload? We don't have anything banished. Don't really want Cyber Repair Plan. Could go with Realm. I think we're going to go with Realm here. We'll activate the Realm. We will add a card from deck to hand. Do I want to go with Claw? Just trying to think, what do I want to go with here? I think Claw might be Claw or Cannon. Go for a Cannon. We will activate Cannon. Okay, we have an opponent that ended up surrendering or connect. Okay, connection failed, so that's a win for us. We'll take it. Not quite the way I wanted the win to happen. I don't even think the plays that I'm making were optimal at all. But obviously, with a singular structure deck, it's going to be quite difficult for us to go ahead and make plays that are going to be efficient, I guess you could say. But we do have 4 awards. 3 legacy packs off the back of it. I don't think we're going to get too much out of the legacy packs, if I'm honest, but it does give us a pack from the shop, which we're going to go ahead and obviously use the free pack, so we're not actually using any of our gems to be in order even to get this particular pack going. But stuff like Infinity, Sega would be nice, also a Nova would be awesome, but we do get a singular pack here. Doesn't look like we get any hollows, unfortunately, but we shall soon find out. Live Twin Leela, Ritual Beast Tamer Wen, Rocket Recharger, Ambush Fangs, another Pharos, Revolution. Oh, okay, we get a Cyber Darkness Dragon, which... And we do actually get a Nova, so Nova's really nice to see. We can always put these two into our extra deck. There's nothing stopping us from adding the Cyber Darkness and Nova to the extra for the time being. I don't think I want to add the Pharos in, if I'm honest, but let's go to our deck and to the structure deck here. So we do have... In fact, we have 3 copies of Pharos now. Actually, no, we have 2, because obviously we bought 2 of the structure deck. So you can special summon this card by tributing a monster. During your main phase, you can fusion summon machine monsters from your extra deck using monsters from your hand and or field as a material. When a fusion monster you control is destroyed by battle, you can banish this card from your graveyard and add a power bond. Okay. I think the 1 copy of Pharos for the time being is fine. We are going to add in a Nova and another Cyber Darkness Dragon, however. I think with the Pharos, if we had more than 1 power bond to our name, we would go ahead and definitely add some more in. But for now, I think we're just going to add in the 2 extra deck monsters that we ended up getting from the pack. And then we'll go ahead and jump into another duel. So let's get going. Okay, so our third opponent in Rookie here. We lose the first coin toss of the episode. And I was about to say, I can imagine we're going to go second here. See what our opponent has in terms of a deck. Looks like it's a very small structure deck, extra deck again. So it is 5 cards in extra. So it isn't a full power deck. So it looks like it might be another structure or starter deck, which is what we love to see, especially at this low rank. If we can get another win under our belt to open another pack in this episode, I'd be happy. So Speed Warrior comes down. Obviously, if it was normal summoned, you can double the attack. So that's fine. We do have Dre in hand here. Everything else is obviously a spell card. With Fusion Deployment, reveal 1 fusion monster from your extra decks and special summon from your hand or deck one of the fusion materials. Also, you cannot special summon from your extra deck except fusion monsters. When you activate it, you can we will activate Fusion Deployment here. Not that we can actually fuse anything, but it will allow us to get into a Cyber Dragon. That's interesting. I don't think they realize it doesn't negate, so I still get the effect off of it. We'll reveal the Cyber Twin and bring out the Cyber Dragon here. We can then also drop Dre onto the board, putting a bit more pressure on. And then we can also make everything level 5. But I don't have anything in hand that will fuse. But I will make it a 5 regardless. Just trying to think. We are going to go ahead and use Evolution Burst for sure. So we don't have the ability to use the Impact, but we are going to use the Evolution Burst to get rid of Speed Warrior. And then we can get in for a reasonable amount of damage here. No, we can't. That's reading for you folks. But I am going to go ahead and drop a Cyberdark Realm. And I am going to add the Chimera to hand here. We do have Horizon. We're not going to use Horizon though, because we want to keep the pressure on the board. Don't want a normal summon Chimera. I think we keep that in hand for the time being. But we have a bit of pressure on the board. We managed to get rid of the Speed Warrior. Obviously, didn't read the full effects of a card that we played because it means that we weren't able to attack, but that's fine. We do have a bit of pressure on the board against our opponent now with, obviously, Dre and Cyber Dragon on the field. Turbo Synchron normal summoned. So you can change the target to defense position. That's interesting, okay. But they didn't declare an attack because they know they're going to end up taking damage from it. We have Fusion Tag in hand now. Target one monster you control, reveal one Fusion monster in your extra deck. If you do, target... okay, no. So we could go into Nova here. Obviously, we don't have Infinity. Nova's attack value is 21, so it's the same as Cyber Dragon. So realistically here, we want to go into the battle phase, deal some damage, and then we'll go into Nova off the back of dealing damage, I think. So main 2, we will special summon our Nova from the extra using Dre and Cyber Dragon. And then I think we set Chimera here. Yeah, we set Chimera for sure. And we end our turn. So I'm hoping that if we set Chimera, it might be a case that our opponent attacks into the face down. Hoping it's something with a low attack value potentially. I'm also kind of thinking this might be a bot just because of the name. Because they normal summoned a lot of monsters like Turbo Synchron. I don't quite understand why you would normal summon this card at all with what you are facing down. If anything, you'd set it face down, in my opinion. They are going to attack with Max Warrior here. So it gains 400 attacks, so it is going to get over the Chimera, which is a little unfortunate. But when it's sent to the graveyard, I can add a Cyberdark monster from my deck to my... I can send a Cyberdark monster from my deck to the graveyard with a different name to the Chimera. They do go for Nova, however. That's fine. That is actually a good attack, so it might not be a bot. Could have just gone Chimera anyway, but Max Warrior gets over it regardless. So we do have a Keel. Interesting. Horizon, send to... why are we sending from extra deck to the graveyard? Is there a reason? That's... Okay, so we don't have anything we can equip, which is unfortunate. Just trying to think of our play here, because we can't get over the Max Warrior. I think we set a back row and just pass here. I don't think there's much else we can do. Like, the downside to this deck right now is our extra isn't great. Like, with the Cyber Twin, we obviously need 2 Cyber Dragons. They have a Kunai with Chain. Interesting. That just gets over our Chimera. Not looking good for us right now. Like, our draws haven't been ideal. We've probably made a few misplays. Like, I think Nova... Obviously, we didn't know Max Warrior was going to be in our opponent's hand to summon. I am going to go ahead and send something to grave here. I'm thinking Chloral Cannon. But then we could just send Cyberdark Horn or Edge, because we do have Cyberdark Impact. I think we end up doing that, you know. We're going to send Edge or Horn. I think we send Horn. Because with Cyberdark Impact, if we draw into the final piece of the puzzle, we can fuse one of like our Cyber Darkness dragons. Not Cyber Darkness dragons, sorry. What are we looking at? There was something. This Cyber Dark Dragon. I knew there was something. Overload's not ideal here. Gonna activate our Horizon now, though. I've been misreading that card, I feel like. The other one we want to send is... What do we want to send here? I don't actually know what I'm going to send here. We'll go with attachment Siphon, and then we'll add the... If we add the Edge, is it worth it? Yes, I think it is actually. So we'll go with the Edge. And then from there to Grave, we'll send one of our Cyber Darkness. We'll then Cyber Dark Impact. To get out the Cyber Dark Dragon. And then we can attach this. Makes it a 3700. And then we'll attack over the Max Warrior, because that is the one thing that's been a bit of a pain for us here. And then we'll end. We could have made that play earlier. I was just misreading the Cybernetic Horizon. I didn't realize it had to be like hand and deck. If I had realized that earlier, we might have been able to make a quicker and earlier play into our Cyber Dark Dragon. But we managed to get to that line eventually. It took us a little while, but we got there. And the attachment Cyburn being sent was the correct play as well. So I don't think there's anything in the deck that our opponent is playing that allows them to get through a Cyber Dark Dragon. I almost misplayed that last play though. I was almost like, oh, we'll get Cyber Dragon and we'll play Cyber Dragon and like attack over the Max Warrior that way. Battle phase. Okay, they're self-killing themselves. Okay, I didn't mean to hit my mic, so if that made a massive noise, I apologize. I guess that they realized they weren't going to win and they still wanted their like rewards from the Duel Pass, maybe. So they just decided to attack into the Cyber Dark Dragon and end up basically killing themselves. But we do end up getting a rank up here into Bronze Tier 5. We get 200 more gems, meaning we do have a decent amount of gems to continue to open our packs. So that's always lovely to see. I want to now open the packs. We do actually have 1100 gems. So theoretically, if we're doing... if we weren't doing a challenge here, I'd be opening up quite a few of the Pearlescent Cyber Dragon pack. But considering that we aren't doing a normal playthrough, and we're actually just doing a playthrough through opening a pack every time we end up winning the game, we can only go ahead and get the singular pack, which doesn't guarantee us getting a holo, but apparently we have got one in this pack here. Hopefully it is from the side of the pack we want it to be, but there's nothing giving it away right now. So we get a Violon Ohm, we get a Speedroid Scratch, so that's probably the only SR we have, unfortunately. We get a Lila Twilight Sworn Enchantress, a Gem Knight Sardonyx, another edge. We don't really want to be playing another edge. Overload Fusion is quite nice to see. And another repair plan's also really nice to see. So, if we go back to our deck now, once it allows us to do so, and we go into this area here, we don't want to play any more edges. We only really want one of those, but we definitely want to play another repair plant. So we'll put that in, and we'll figure out. I think we just get rid of Super Strident Blast. I don't think that's going to come up anytime soon. I'm just checking everything else. I think this is the one we take out for that. So that's the repair plant. The other one was the Overload Fusion. I think Overload Fusion would be another nice card to have 2 copies of at this stage. But I'm not too sure what we want to get rid of for it. It might be one of the trap cards, actually thinking about it. We'll get rid of Rebirth Judgment and we'll put in a Overload. And that is the next change to the deck. So one other thing that I wanted to mention, and I didn't want to actually add this into like the rule set to start with, but I wanted to bring it up after I got into the situation I just got into, going from rookie to bronze. My thought process was, and obviously you guys can say yes or no to this if you think it's a good idea or not in the comment section below. But I thought of the idea of, once we level ourselves up into like the next level, or the next tier should we say, about potentially crafting cards for the deck. Now I say cards because if we're going to say get an SR, we can only craft a single SR. If we were going to get a UR, we can only craft a single UR. But if we wanted a normal or rare, we could craft either 2 normals or 2 rares, or a normal and a rare. That's what I was thinking. We're not going to do it in this episode. Obviously you guys can let me know in the comments below if you think that is a good idea or not. But regardless, that is the changes we're going to make to the deck here. And I'm going to try and keep these videos around half an hour, 45 minutes long if I can. And as we've just leveled up into bronze, I think it is a good point for us to stop this or finish this episode here. So the deck that we started with was obviously the pure structure deck. Nothing else changed in there. We've got 2 wins in today's episode against obviously 2 people that are playing starter decks, but that is what it is. You've got to take the wins as they come. And we've made a couple of changes to the deck. So we have a Nova now in the deck. We have 2 Cyber Darkness Dragons. We now have 2 Overload Fusions and 2 Repair Plants. So we're slowly making changes to try and make this deck a lot more consistent and a lot better for us in the long run. So overall, I'm quite happy with getting the 2 wins in today's episode. Obviously, the first person we faced, we were never going to beat the Gen Raider deck. So I just decided, you know what, we'll surrender here. There's no point in us even attempting to try and get through this. We could have potentially beat them if we had like the most insane luck on the draw factor, but unfortunately that just never happened for us. But regardless guys, I appreciate you tuning into this video. I hope you are looking forward to the content that's going to be coming here to the TCG channel. We have this Master Duel series now. We're going to have the Budget to Pro series very, very soon. Essentially, we're going to be taking 3 copies of a structure deck and trying to build it from a budget deck to a not professional standard by any means, but a standard where we can compete at locals and beyond. It's going to be a deck that not a lot of you are going to consider as a starting point. I wanted to make it a little bit different to a lot of the other series that are like this. For example, obviously Revs has done 2 series of playing Yu-Gi-Oh! Properly and 2 series of the sealed only. And I wanted to try and steer away from the decks that he used as his starting points. There's obviously a bunch of other like budget to like pro sort of series, just obviously named differently. I've seen people doing like branded on a budget, for example. A lot of people have started those particular series off with branded, so I wanted to try and stay away from the stuff that everyone else has been using. So we have decided to go down a different route, which we'll have to wait and see what that is when we start that series up. But regardless guys, as I said, if you are looking forward to that particular content, please be sure to subscribe to the channel. That'd be greatly appreciated. If you've got any constructive criticism for this particular series, leave it in the comment section down below. As I also said, leave me your thoughts on the crafting rule as well in the comment section down below. That would be greatly appreciated. But anyway, that is going to do it for this video, and I'll see you in the next one.